About 9 years ago, I've got to see the life ain't the easy one, and it certainly will never be easy. And I got to see that this certainly has its impact on oneself once you realize that things are not like dropping off the sky like nothing. Back then, I was in my early teenage years, and the years before, I've always been like the child who got it all, especially from my mom, as she was like supporting all the like things one could give its child in a monetary way. For sure, I got love and other important things enough as well, but back then I didn't understand the ratio you gotta understand on which you're getting things. And I was always like super focused on getting something new and doing something new. And there was also a big part of my life where I just could not see a big reason in following something specific for a long period of time. I was always shifting away, trying to find something new that's maybe more interesting or maybe fits more to my needs, but nothing really stick to me. And I certainly am still not completely free of feelings on bad on things like that on bad days. But I know what my mission is now, and I know how to move forward in all this. And what I've took out of the times back then where I just couldn't settle myself onto something was that I will need to wrap my head around something if I want to get something back. Because after I got to see that it's not as easy as it seemed the years before, especially in the regards of getting things, living free, doing whatever you want, I started to think about the reasoning why we want things and what I really want and what I don't really need and what I will do for what I really want to live for. And quickly things quite shifted into a direction where I just started to realize that I gotta do things to get out of this, of the dependency in a societal manner, of monetary dependencies, of things I will have to fulfill to just live on the surface. I get to see that this is not life. This certainly cannot be it. It cannot be it that you like are stuck in some sort of situation where you cannot escape from, but you have to stay in there because otherwise you can't afford to live on like that. And this thought quite scared me. I had some relation to the situation where you might want to like shift some behaviors to maintain a lifestyle you're living, as back then when my parents separated, my mom was still like on in this ongoing process of giving me whatever I wanted, and she tried to like keep us on top of everything, so I'll be a happy child and I'll get everything I want. But she didn't understand or see or prioritize herself enough back then, so she just like crashed herself in this whole process. She couldn't live on like that. She couldn't afford us in that or that lifestyle of us no more. But she still tried as much as she could. She had two jobs. She had like stuff to pay back, but she always tried to manage getting me the things I wanted. And when I'm looking back to these times, what I took out of it the most is that when you're shown that when when you're shown that things are or life isn't going as easy as before, you you're starting to ask why. I'm relating this to like an 13-year-old me, you know? I didn't understand back then why things are so hard now. We had it all, things worked out ever since, and why is it not working out no more? And that was like because my mom certainly couldn't come up with enough energy no more to sustain this life of working our ass off just to get us whatever we wanted or what I wanted. So she burned out quite quickly, and I got to feel all this pain, all this all this sorrow and all this suffering through her lens as well as and I started to perceive life and being in this dependency, in this monetary dependency, as something I have to be cautious about, as something I will need to distance myself so I'm not getting thrown into the same pool. And once I wondered about this thing more and more and started to realize that there has to be a way, there has to be another option to break out of this, to just like be able to relax. It was the moment where I understood I don't need all this stuff no more. I don't need too many things and need have like yeah, these things in mind that would be necessary or would make me happy, because I saw that you're like trading off your life for these things as long as you don't change something about what you're living. And so I started to think about how I might be able to develop these for or develop myself to get ahead of this when I'm older. And things didn't stop there because I was in school back then, and I started to realize so many things that didn't seem quite quite well. They felt off. They felt like I'm yeah, I'm not a participant in all this. So these two things impacted me simultaneously. Situation with my mom and being in school and all this kind of life you're going after in that regard. And the third thing that came in back then was like, or the thing that concluded out of many thoughts were like a state of mind where I just knew I will have to keep on doing something to change this, because no one ever is going to change it for me. So I set up some basic rules for myself. Basic rules I've been following ever since. And I was like 13 or 14 years old back then when I first told them myself. And these two rules were basically, don't take things as they are and as they come, and question all the time. Not all the time, but question deeper. So, what I mean by do not take things as they are was like, when things are coming and you're like set out into a specific situation, I shall not just take it as it is and say, okay, nothing's going to change, and yeah, I gotta take it like it comes, but more like, why is this thing happening to me? And this also resolved highly out of the problem I was facing with my mom, because I got to see it's so, why is this all happening? This didn't ever happen before. Why is money now such a big deal? Why is she struggling so hard and burning herself down in all this? So this truly made me realize one thing, that I'll have to break free. The second thing, that I will need to find something to make myself break free. And the third thing, that I'm definitely not going to be able to take the normal route. And yeah, years passed by, and early realizations, things I got to understand quite early, they didn't turn towards me all the time. Realizations are not always things you can just like live in the next moment and yeah, things are done. You are now on a level. No, life is certainly harder than that. And that's why I'm making this recording now with the thing in mind that it's been 9 hours ever since I got to understand all the necessities I will try to fulfill in my life to live free, to live independent, to be able to like design my life how I really wanted to. And it's okay. It's totally fine. I've been hard on myself very often for this, as I've seen years pass by. 3, 4 years, 5 years have passed since I've seen that, since I've known that. Then there came a time where I've been deep down into drugs, been trying to face myself off all this what I already got to understand and see, and like try to suppress other feelings and emotions and little traumas I had, and to just don't feel anything no more. But at some point, I got to see that this inner spark is still there, that there's still so much more I want to discover out there, and so much more freedom I could live for, and I can work for, and I can be proud for when I'm at the point where I am like, where I just can break free of all this. So I've set apart all the drugs and started to get in shape again. My mind, my body, my health. And that was like the period that made another shift into all these crazy big things that happened already. The shift of my life, I'd call it, because I entered, I finally entered the period where I'm working for it, where I see what I'll get back for what I'm doing and how much you actually need to give to get back for that what you're doing. And so I was still like very, yeah, marked by my previous life and my how I operated on life and how often I switched things off and tried out something new and thought that I will be having bigger motivations doing that, or maybe this is like the thing for me, until I saw that I have to go through this process of sticking to something to get something out of it. Because yeah, the initial motivation, the potential in it may be great, maybe big, but not always are things getting big right away. And you don't ever get something back when you're building something big right away when you're doing it. It's in the small things for sure. And you should also always preserve these small things in the process you're going through, but not like think that you'll get something big out of it in the beginning. Because the big thing you're getting out of it will always be like the experience, the things you get to understand through this pain, through these hardships you're going through these hard routes you're taking. And so I had many things in mind. I had project ideas. I wanted to like come up with something that's representing my values. Want to make something sustainable, environmentally friendly, something that involves tech in some way, because I was always interested in tech, but I've I've stopped trying to learn how to code so many times because years back then, yeah, I wasn't convinced enough about the actual thing I'm getting back, and it was so hard, and it didn't give me enough back in the first place. And I was always like this visionary thinking person who just couldn't see how slowly you're moving towards that very clear vision, because there wasn't any fog. Nothing blurred out that vision in between, seemingly, but only the distance was so hard for me. And afterwards, I got to understand that it was a hallucination from myself, that the vision is already clear, because it's not adapted to what I'm living. Because if the vision would be clear in the first place, I would have gone through all the things that would have been needed to get this vision done. But that was the basic thing I just didn't do. I had this vision in mind. I saw big things coming. I tried to like get things rolling into that direction, but I didn't do enough to actually get this clear glimpse of things. And so I've always been hallucinating on my visions and not been able to like really grasp on the importance, on the actual drive of it, which is the progress, which is the experience itself, as I mentioned. So I've set apart that coding thing, came back to it, my interest, my sparks for tech later than AI when it surfaced. didn't go away. And so I just wanted to like find a way to be able to not bypass this foggy view on my vision, but to like support it and ease my way to it and get things done more quickly. And that's where I stumbled upon the the current possibilities we have and which are evolving from day to day and which are like building with certain tools that allow you to get further. So I started making stuff with no code. It's only been 3 months where I decided I will make an app and I'll try all. I'll go for it and I'll give more than I ever had. And that's where I am. And I'm still struggling with so much things I don't understand every day, and I feel like I'm moving so slow sometimes. But then I'm getting back to the like realization that this is the part of that foggy way, and this this road is a stony one, and it's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be like bypassed or be driven through in a matter of seconds. It's meant to be your journey, and life doesn't come out of the ease. It comes from all these, yeah, tiny constitutions of things and relations that complete something in itself, and from which out things want to grow. But the conditions are not always great for growth. They're not always like laid in front of your legs where you just have to pick them up. Sometimes you have to find them in like a needle in a haystack. It's but this is the thing. The thing is that I understood that true pleasure and true fulfillment for myself comes exactly out of these progressions I make, these tiny steps, these little movements closer to my vision. Not from the vision itself, not from how big you can think, how big your ego can take you, but from these tiny little steps, because they make you move. They make you, they like fuel all this. They carry you further. And through this carrying of myself, through these tiny steps, I I get to realize again in this moment that I will have to remember even myself after talking this all out, that I can get back to these things because even I struggle. I I put these words and thoughts out like it's already manifested for years in myself, but no, it isn't. I've struggled 2 hours back with things I where I just couldn't seem to find a solution. So doing this, sitting here now in the rain, talking about how I perceive life and where I'm moving is the thing that will support my progression in this and will make me will make it easier for me to be able to see where I've come, to see where I've gone. And so can you. With whatever you're doing, just mark the point where you've been. And that place only is a point where I'll have that marker, that checkpoint, where I know that this was a moment where I've got to realize many things and I just put them out. And I remember about this day, about this moment where I just talked out how my life has been doing and how I'm feeling. And the things that are the biggest struggle for me still is the main thing with what I started with, and that is like the freedom of choice in a regard where I'm not like the guy leaning back and living his life doing nothing. No, I will always try to do something, but the freedom of just executing on your own behalf, on your own vision, being able to sustain yourself through that view. And even if it's foggy, even if you can't see anything towards the vision and you're moving slow, I still just want to be in the position where I can sustain myself from that. And that is the one thing I'm not there yet. And that's another thing I'll try to get on with this journey of these videos. Because I want to maybe someday sit there at the same spot and tell you that I've just been in a position or started to be able to sustain myself, not having another job for that. Because that is like the main objective. Just quitting a normal job, just quitting the monetary dependency. And yeah, I'm very grateful for everything that has come to that day, and I'll keep going hard, but I'll not go too hard on myself, and I'll take breaks and just be happy about the progress. And we'll come back to these tiny little details, these tiny little steps I've made, even if it was like in a 10-minute little task or in a one day uh, task I set myself. Doesn't matter. I will have to look back and I'll be happy about realizing that I'm doing all this to, yeah, to fulfill my mission. My mission doesn't end at me being free. That's only where it starts. Because I just, I don't only want to make myself free, I want to make something for us as well. So I think that's about it for this first one out there in the staircase to the highway. Yeah, didn't think it will start raining, but I enjoyed it anyway. I was here yesterday trying to make that video, and there were like mosquitoes on mass. Today only like two because of the rain. Yesterday was horrible. And what happened? My cam just stopped recording after 2 minutes all the time, and I went back home having nothing. Felt down for that. Called my dad. He has like an SD card. He gave me that one, and I'm happy it's still recording. So I'll be getting a new SD card, faster one. Yeah, letting these things, setting these things aside. Thank you